That was unexpected.
There's really two types of runners. The first type refuses to walk no matter what. Their pace usually doesn't change much because walking feels like quitting. The second type runs fast, stops, walks for 60 seconds, and then takes off again, over and over, the whole race. And if done correctly, they could even finish faster than the first person. The difference isn't fitness, it's a plan. Runner 1 is grinding on pride. Runner 2 decided a mile ago that they were going to walk right here, right now, and that's why they're still running fast at mile 22. And then there's me. I'm not really either of those runners. I don't refuse to walk. I do walk, but not because I plan to. I walk because I hit a wall. And at that point, it's more survival than strategy. In my first marathon, I cramped about halfway through the race and spent the back half mostly walking. And in my B race last weekend, a similar thing happened. I hit a wall and I couldn't hold the pace anymore. The walk started happening to me instead of being chosen by me. So that got me thinking, what if I just chose them? What if instead of running until I break and walking because I have to, I walked on purpose, on a schedule, before the wall ever shows up? That's the Galloway method. And with 3 weeks until the Flying Pig, I'm testing it out this week to find out if it can save my race. Another week closer to the Flying Pig Marathon. May 3rd, that's the date. Quick introduction if you haven't seen any of my videos. I am a father of 2 running my second ever marathon, the Flying Pig. And unlike some people in the comments think, I am not a professional runner. I am just an everyday dad trying to get better at running. I've been in the fitness space for quite a while, but recently wanted to get better at running because that was a weak spot in my fitness. So here we are. So going back in time to my first marathon, I finished with a time of 4 hours and 50 minutes. Not really where I wanted to be, but I just wanted to finish. The issue I had was that I cramped about halfway through and had to walk a large portion of the last half of the marathon. We're nearing the end of this 18-week block of training, which I thought was going to be plenty of time to correct all of these issues and get really fast, get really fit. But recently, I've kind of realized that it's not going to be that easy. I'm still experiencing the same problems. I get towards the end of the run, and I hit a wall. Don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's physical or a combination of both. My heart rate is still high, and I just want to walk. I need to walk. I went into a B race last weekend. It was a half marathon, and I had everything worked out. I had my fueling. I had my pace targets, everything. And I held on to the pace for about 4 or 5 miles until it just got really hard. So after the race, kind of going back to the drawing board, I realized the walks aren't necessarily what's killing my time. It's how often I'm walking, how long I'm walking, and why is the biggest thing, why I'm walking. By the time I'm forced to that, my heart rate has already gotten too high. The spikes are out of control at that point. My body kind of starts shutting down and I can't pick it back up. So we're 3 weeks out from the Flying Pig. I can't necessarily build more fitness at this point. But what I can do is be smarter about how I go about it. So I start looking into what I can do for somebody who has the engine, but just keeps blowing up. And I remembered something I heard about a long time ago. Jeff Galloway was an Olympic runner. He helped coach over 300,000 athletes and invented the run-walk-run method. Jeff Galloway unfortunately passed away actually just a few weeks ago, so this is his name has been coming up more recently because of that, but it helped get more people aware of what this is. The idea is that you start the race with built-in walking breaks on a certain ratio to help prevent the breaking down and hitting a wall later in the race. And the data is really interesting. Actually, the data shows that runners improve their marathon time by on average of 13 minutes using this method, which is insane. A lot of times walking is seen as weak or something that really good runners don't do. But this method has been used by Boston qualifiers. It's helped people reach times of sub 250, which is really, really fast. A lot of people won't try this method because of ego, honestly. They feel like walking is giving up, but it's different to walk when you plan on walking rather than when you have to. Now, this is especially interesting for me, and the reason why it got my attention so much is because I've done CrossFit now for 12, 13 years. And if you know anything about CrossFit, you know it's high intensity interval training. Going hard, you're getting your heart rate up for a varied amount of time. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long, but then you have rest. And so that's what I've trained for so long. My body is used to getting my heart rate down quickly, so that way I can sustain the effort and keep going after the rest time is over. This fits in really, really well with the Galloway method because you're running for a set amount of time and then you're resting. You're letting your body, letting your heart rate get to a manageable level again, and then you're pushing the effort up. So I really think this method is a great idea for people like me who have done CrossFit or something similar to try. Now, what I'm trying out specifically is a 4-to-1 ratio. So what I'm gonna do is run for 4 minutes and then walk for 1 minute. And then at that point, it's just math. So if my goal is still a 4-hour marathon that averages out to about a 9-minute and 9-second pace, that means I need to be running in the running portions at about an 8:30 to 8:50 pace with kind of a quick walk during the minute rest. But we are going to have the experiment this weekend during my 17-mile long run and see how it goes.
I'm not training, I'm not working out to keep up with my kids. I'm working out so that I can dominate in everything for as long as humanly possible. That's just so perfect. I had to share that. By the way, I work from home and I've started using my car as kind of like my office, and I kind of really like it. So that's why there's a lot of clips. It's a controlled space. I can easily set up my camera. For work, I can make calls out here. It's quiet, you know, it's just great. But you're wondering, how did the run walk, the Galloway method, I've heard it called the Jeffy method recently, which I think sounds kind of weird, but you're wondering how it went. We tested it out for my 17-mile long run, and here are my thoughts. Let's start with raw. How did I feel after the run? The answer is rough, but no more rough than if I had done it normally. So the scheduled workout was 17 miles. I had planned on going 17 miles. Ended at about 15. And the reason why is because I hit a wall again. I struggled towards the end, and suffering the way I was through those last 2 miles wasn't going to do me any favors. I think the main reason why is because I have this target in my head of the average pace, the pace I need to be at. And so when I did the running portion of the run, I went too fast. I think trying to run even 4 minutes at that pace for that long, that's what impacted me. I think at this point, I need to be real with myself and know, okay, here's the pace that I feel good at and my heart rate stays controlled at, and look at it that way and kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit. What did go well? I really enjoyed walking. I'm definitely more of a speed athlete, short bursts, not necessarily a long sustained effort. I like clean and jerks and snatches more than I like back squats and deadlifts. That's just, fast twitch. That's who I am. That's who I've always been. And so I'm trying to do things a lot differently now. And so, I go to like the YMCA and see these 60, 70-year-old guys, girls swimming for like 30 minutes nonstop. And I'm so impressed because I could not imagine ever doing that. So I liked walking. I liked having the 4 minutes where I knew, okay, finish this 4 minutes, then you get a minute to rest, get the heart rate down. From a mental standpoint, you can almost look at it as, okay, I just have to finish this interval and then we'll worry about the next one after that. And mentally, I think that's good for a lot of people, me included. Another positive is in those I shouldn't say rest, in the walking periods, I was able to eat my gummies, my nerd clusters, take my salt stick. Normally, when I'm running and I'm trying to eat those things or take those things, it causes my heart rate to spike because I can't chew and breathe at the same time apparently, so I have trouble with that. And so walking during that time was really helpful. Another thing that went well is my heart rate, I think, was more controlled. It definitely got higher because I was running faster, and that's what caused the issues. But the walking did really help me in bringing the heart rate down and kind of level out the average. Now, doing it this way isn't for everybody, as I've said numerous times. If you are somebody that can do well with long sustained effort, and walking or slowing down might throw things off, or maybe it's hard to start running again after you walk, this might not be for you. I know people like that. I know people that can just go, they can zone out and go somewhere else in their head, and then they're best at just sustaining that effort over a long period of time. If they were to walk, then they're out of it. They check out, and things get tough for them at that point. For me, it kind of distracted me with looking at my watch and seeing, okay, I've got 2 minutes in this interval, just complete that and we'll move on to the next one. But some people don't want to do that. Some people don't want to have to keep checking their watch. They don't want to have to think about and focus on when to start, when to stop. And so this might not be for them. Now, I use my Work Outdoors app, which I've talked about in previous videos. I use that to track how I do this. And so I set it up to where I just have intervals. So it tells me 4 minutes run at a fast, 4 minutes at a fast pace, 1 minute slow, steady, and it just keeps going through that intervals over and over and over again. And I can stop it whenever I want. So if I'm doing a long run, I can just stop when I hit the mileage I need. So if you were to try this method, I would recommend having some system like that, because it's tough to do the math, and not that it's hard math, but it's tough to say, keep looking at your watch and knowing when 4 minutes are up, and then, looking at when the walk's up and everything like that. So I have it set up to intervals. I also have it set up to show me what my current pace is, what my interval pace is, and what the total run pace is. And that was really helpful too, because the interval pace, I knew the targets I needed to be at, and so I could hit that. And then my walk, I could see how that affected the interval pace and the overall pace, and I could use that to kind of fine tune where I wanted to be at for the run. Now, the question you might be wondering at this point, am I going to use this for the flying pig? And my answer is, I don't know. I enjoyed it, but like I said, I still blew up just like I did at a constant pace, and I still walked at the end when I was supposed to be running. I think it deserves another test. So this next week, I have a 20-mile long run, which will be maxed out at either 20 miles or 3 hours. I think I'll hit the 3 hours before I get to 20 miles. But I'm gonna test it there, and I am going to slow it down to where I can get some confidence, first of all, and really feel it out. Is this something that significantly helps me, or is it gonna be a hindrance and set a slow time out the gate and then still run into the same issues and really slow me down? So we'll test it out again and see how it goes and make a decision after that. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions about the Galloway method, if you are wondering how I set up the intervals, let me know. I use an Apple Watch, so I know a lot of people use a Garmin, of course, so I don't know how they might have a built-in interval function. I would hope they would, but for me, I'm using an Apple Watch with Work Outdoors, and I really like it. So let me know if you have any questions on that. We're getting down to it, so I don't know how many videos are gonna be left, but if there's anything that you're wanting to see specifically, please let me know in a comment. Like the video, subscribe if you wanna see more, and thanks for watching.